My earliest memory was of my cat. I had a big black cat who was an indoor outdoor. The things that I remember about my mother was that she was a very kind, loving. I can't remember her being angry with me ever. She talked to me about things she didn't like, but never really angry. The things that I remember most about my father was particularly the fact he worked all the time. He was interested in horticulture, built a greenhouse. His specialty happened to be big chrysanthemums and peonies. And the things that I remember most about my grandparents was that they were very loving. They were always there for me. My father worked at the Reading Railroad. He was at the Pennsylvania Railroad. My grandfather worked at the Reading. My grandfather was a bookkeeper, and my father was an electrician. This was after the Whitney Glass Works closed in Glassboro. My mother and I walked everywhere because my mother didn't drive. So we frequently walked from where we lived on Wilmer Street in town. And I can remember going to the bank, which was in the center of town, and the building is still there, but it's been turned into something else. But I can remember my mother went to the bank a lot. She liked to go through the stuff she had in the safety deposit box. She enjoyed doing that. And I would go with her, of course. And I can remember lying down on the floor, looking up at the ceiling in that bank. And it's so funny at my age now, remembering such a silly thing, looking up at the ceiling. But I went many, many times with her to do that. I overheard, I probably wasn't supposed to, but I overheard them talking about Uncle Henry being a bootlegger and wanting my father to join them in Delaware to send the booze to Delaware and sell it. And fortunately, he didn't, because probably he would have been arrested and most likely he would have been in jail. So fortunately, he didn't do it. My first pet, was a dog whose name was Daisy. And Daisy had been born at Dr. Lodge in Pittman, had Daisy's mother. And the mother got out, became pregnant, and had dogs that they couldn't determine exactly what kind they were. And so they had them just available if you wanted to take it. So my mother and father got me Daisy. I worked in Strawbridge's in Philadelphia. I had two of my friends all decided that's what they wanted to do. And so some of them worked in banks, and I worked in Strawbridge's. And I did that for a couple of years. And where I didn't make any money, but I worked. the only trouble that I can remember that I did when I was young and home, uh, I was annoyed about something, and I don't remember what it was. Annoyed. Probably my father said no, I couldn't do it, because that was kind of a favorite thing to tell me, no, you can't do it. And so I kicked, and my shoe went through the window in my bedroom, and it broke the window. And I expected him to be super furious at me, and was basically surprised he wasn't. I think he was okay about it. He fixed the window. The depression uh, was different for me because my grandfather was working, bought my clothes, paid for the food in the house. I didn't have to worry about anything of that nature. The only thing that I remember about it is people would come to the door and ask for food. And my grandmother would make scrambled eggs, that was the big thing. Scrambled eggs, toast, and coffee. And I was warned not to go out. I can remember that. I wasn't allowed out in the backyard. And they would sit and eat, and there was always somebody having something to eat in the backyard. One of my friends, taught me how to ride a bike, and that was my friend Marilyn. Taught me how to ride a bike, and we would go to Lake Gilman, and you could go. You didn't have to be a member; you could just go. And she did a lot with teaching me how to swim. I had lessons. My mother had me take all kind of lessons. I had ballet lessons. I had tap dancing lessons. I had piano lessons. I had swimming lessons. I had boating lessons. I didn't do too good. I never got the boat into the dock where you were supposed to. Never did good with swimming because I wouldn't put my face in the water. But the other ballet and tap dancing, I did pretty good. I remember that when the lesson was over, all of us would have to get down, put our head down, and sing Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And the teacher would come along with a taffy and put it in front of us. And some of us never were allowed to have too much candy. So that was a treat, getting the candy at the dancing. In World War II, we were rationed. We used to make our own soap and let it dry on the third floor. And you had to wait, and you had to wait, couldn't use it right away. Also, I remember not having, I guess it was not getting gas for the car. You had to get in line and wait your turn. And that took a while. And I didn't do much with radio, but I read a lot. I had quite a few books, and I really, really enjoyed reading. And then I met my husband in school when I was a sophomore. And they had dances on Friday night. And I think I had not been to the movies because he and I went to a movie, and it was Going My Way with Bing Crosby. There were a lot of things my father did not approve of. And my husband always said I was very deprived. He said it jokingly. He didn't mean it mean, but he said I was very deprived because I wasn't allowed to go to the skating rink. There were so many things that my father, he didn't get mad about, but he just said, no, you can't. Dad was always so interested in all of the sports, so that we went to the thing that I remember most about our entertainment when we were dating was going to a game. It was always going to a game, and he played a lot of the sports. You know, he played basketball and he played football, of course, and he was captain of the team in high school. One of the games we had gone, and the group had gone to the game and then to a place called The Hearth up near a little sandwich shop that was up near Oak Lynn, I think. And it was after that when Dad brought me home and he proposed at that point. The day of my wedding, I remember so vividly that it was just one of the happiest days of my life. I really, I wanted to get married, and I wanted to marry him, and I was very happy. And when I got married, of course, it was in the Episcopal Church, and in the Episcopal Church, they do something like read the banns of the church, of the marriage 3 times before they'll let you get married, to make sure there's no objection from anybody. The happiest time in my life was when I was first married and had my babies. And then when I had the 3rd baby later in life, and I had a chance to be home for a little while. My husband taught me how to drive, and my first car was a Ford. And I didn't have it for very long because it had what was called a cracked block, so I had to get rid of it. And when I got rid of it, I bought a car that was a VW, and they sold them from the backyard of the people that owned the VW agency in the Elmer area. I worked in Glassboro for 33 years. I started as a kindergarten teacher, and I had never been in a classroom, never taught before. And they opened the door, put me in, and I began. From there, I decided I'd better make sure I got my degree. So I got my undergraduate degree. I then got 2 more graduate degrees and went from the classroom in 2nd grade to getting the last master's in library. It's good to be happy on your job and like what you do. A blink of an eye, I would have majored in being an animal behaviorist. I find it so fascinating. There are so many things about animals that it's just so interesting, the things they do. I would have really enjoyed it. Dad's family, there were a lot of them. And for me, it was a wonderful experience because I didn't have much family. And I really, I've treasured the relationship I have had with them. I've had a very happy life. I've had 8 wonderful grandchildren. I've had 4 wonderful great grandchildren and 3 unusually wonderful children. So I consider myself a very fortunate person. I can't really think of anything I would have changed much if I had a chance to do it over and change it, because it's been a good, wonderful life.